Okay, before we go any further, let me just say this. I'm not obsessed with AI. I haven't replaced my therapist, my best friend, my morning routine, or my common sense. Yet, yes, over the past few weeks, I've let AI be my coach, my life planner, my emotional support chatbot, and probably my unpaid intern, but I promise I still talk to humans occasionally. So no, I'm not addicted to AI. I just like efficient emotional support that doesn't charge £80 an hour and ghost me on a Wednesday. Now that we've cleared that up, let's get into today's experiment. Welcome back to Mentor's Mindset. I asked ChatGPT to fix my life, like actually fix it. No motivational quotes, no fancy planners, just cold logic, scheduled prompts, and brutally honest reminders. I handed over control of my day for 7 days and let it rewire my worst habits. Procrastination, phone addiction, late nights, and my tragic relationship with vegetables. Did it work or ruin my life? Let's find out. Let's be real, I had a habit problem. 4, to be exact. 1, procrastination. I didn't start things until the deadline breathed down my neck. It wasn't just this laziness, it was paralysis. I'd overthink everything before I even began. The task felt too big, too complicated, or like I needed to feel ready before starting. So I'd delay, then guilt would show up, and guess what? Guilt isn't a motivator, it's a weight. I called it waiting for the right time. But in truth, I was just avoiding discomfort. I had folders of half-started projects, unread emails flagged for months, and even birthday texts I never replied to because I waited too long and then it felt awkward. That kind of mental clutter, it builds shame, and the more shame I carried, the harder it was to start anything at all. 2, phone addiction. My screen time was 8 to 14 hours. Yes, a full-time job of Instagram, YouTube, and convincing myself memes are therapy. The scary part, I didn't even enjoy half of it. It wasn't entertainment, it was sedation. I was doom scrolling through life. Checking my phone became like a nervous twitch. In queues, during meals, even mid-conversation. If there was silence, I filled it with TikTok. If there was discomfort, I avoided it with Reddit. I didn't realize how much mental energy I was bleeding just by trying to stay updated. And the worst irony, the more time I spent online, the more inadequate I felt. Everyone else seemed motivated, fit, aesthetic, and thriving. Meanwhile, I was alone at 2 a.m. watching productivity hacks I wouldn't follow. It was digital self-sabotage. 3, sleeping at 2 a.m. The I'm just resting my eyes lie turned into scrolling until sunrise. Sleep wasn't something I prioritized, it was something I postponed. I called myself a night owl. But let's be honest, it was just anxiety wearing a hoodie. I'd lie in bed, overthinking the day, replaying awkward moments, worrying about things I hadn't done. So instead of addressing those feelings, I numbed them with blue light and bad decisions. There were nights where I watched 3 hours of YouTube tutorials on productivity while actively ruining my sleep and sabotaging the next day. It was a form of quiet self-destruction, like pushing my own snooze button on life. And the cost? Foggy mornings, brain fog, missed opportunities, low mood. When you're sleep-deprived, even brushing your teeth feels like a task. 4, garbage diet. If it wasn't beige and microwavable, I didn't want it. Let's just say if there was a color palette for my food, it would be tarn sadness. Crisps, frozen pizza, takeaway, and energy drinks were the holy trinity. Vegetables? I saw them more often in commercials than in my kitchen. I wasn't fueling my body, I was numbing it. Eating was emotional, impulsive, and unconscious. I'd eat late at night out of boredom, skip breakfast, and call coffee a meal. Then I'd wonder why I felt sluggish, irritable, and exhausted. It wasn't just about health, it was about identity. When you constantly make choices that go against your well-being, you start to see yourself as someone who just isn't disciplined. You stop trusting yourself, and that's a dangerous place to live. I had a habit problem, 4 to be exact, and each one was feeding the other. Procrastination led to stress, stress led to scrolling, scrolling led to sleep deprivation led to poor eating. And round it went a carousel of self-sabotage. I couldn't seem to step off until now. I told ChatGPT, act like my life coach, fix my 4 worst habits, give me a strict 7-day plan. If I cheat, call me out. This wasn't some casual experiment. I needed structure badly, so I gave it full authority over my routine. I told it exactly where I was slipping, what I wanted to change, and asked it to hold me accountable like a no-nonsense trainer who doesn't believe in excuses. I didn't want inspiration, I wanted intervention. A ChatGPT's planned daily schedule with 30-minute blocks. Meal planning with healthy options. Phone lockouts during key hours, morning and night reflections with journaling prompts. It designed a surprisingly comprehensive plan. Each day was divided into time blocks, focused work, rest, meals, movement, and emotional reflection. It included reminders like close all tabs and breathe and pause before you snack. It wasn't just managing time, it was managing attention and intention. Even my phone was scheduled. It gave me Scroll Zone's 30-minute windows where I could check messages and social media guilt-free, followed by lockout suggestions. Outside those hours, cold turkey. And for meals, it gave recipes, not fancy Pinterest stuff. Realistic 10-minute meals like overnight oats, stir-fried veg with eggs, or wraps I could throw together. It knew I wasn't about to turn into Gordon Ramsay overnight. There were even prompts like, "Have you had water in the last hour?" Or, "Is this hunger or boredom?" It was part therapist, part babysitter, part Navy SEAL. And yes, I asked it to send motivational threats if I slacked, and it delivered. If I missed a prompt or broke a rule, it didn't just let it slide. I'd get replies like, "Comfort is the enemy of growth." Or, "You've mastered avoidance. Are you ready to master discipline?" It stung. But weirdly, it worked. Quote from AI.
Discipline is remembering what you want more than what you want now.
That line echoed in my head more than I expected. Every time I reached for my phone or delayed a task, that sentence was waiting. Discipline wasn't about punishment. It was about clarity. Reminding myself of my bigger why, even when the smaller wants felt louder. By the end of the planning session, I had something I hadn't felt in months: direction. No vague motivation, no lofty goals, just a clear path, simple actions, specific times, and a relentless digital voice reminding me of who I said I wanted to become. By day 2, I thought I was just fixing time and food habits. But the AI started showing me something deeper: my emotional habits. Habits aren't always about time, they're about pain, avoiding it, managing it, masking it. I didn't realize how many of my bad habits were actually survival tactics, little emotional escape routes, dressed up as laziness or distraction. Every time I paused to journal, the prompts didn't ask, "What did you do today?" They asked,
What were you avoiding? What triggered stress?
and
What emotion led you to pick up your phone?
one prompt asked.
When did you feel most uncomfortable today?
I didn't know how to answer at first. Then I realized it was during the silence, the quiet moments between tasks. That's when the anxiety crept in, the doubt, the thoughts I usually drowned in TikToks or snacks. The AI was making me sit in those moments, not fix them, not judge them, just notice them. That felt invasive, but also freeing. Turns out most of my bad habits were symptoms. My procrastination, it was fear of being judged. My late nights, escaping loneliness, my screen time, a distraction from feeling like I wasn't enough. These weren't just cute self-discoveries for a journal. These were emotional routes I had ignored for years. I'd told myself I had a discipline problem, but really, I had a discomfort problem. I avoided anything that made me feel unsure, unprepared, or unseen, and these habits, they were just my defense system, a system I built unconsciously. And now, with the AI acting like a mirror, I was seeing the architecture of my coping mechanisms. When you scroll, what feeling are you trying to silence? I wrote. Not feeling good enough unless I'm doing something impressive. That hit like a truck. And honestly, that moment changed more than any time-blocking strategy ever could. I'd built an identity around being productive, always chasing, always performing. But deep down, I didn't believe rest was earned unless it was preceded by achievement. That belief, it was draining me dry. That one journal entry felt like therapy, like a private confessional. And the AI didn't offer validation or cheerleading, just space to reflect. And that's all I needed. This wasn't just about productivity anymore. It was about pattern recognition. The invisible choices I was making based on invisible fears. And once I saw them, I couldn't unsee them. Every time I reached for my phone after that, I paused. Not because of guilt, but because I understood the why. That pause, that's where healing starts. The mirror effect of the AI wasn't mystical. It was mechanical. It just kept asking better questions than I was used to asking myself. And when you're honest with those questions, everything starts to shift. Day 1 started like this. Alarm at 7 a.m. The AI said, drink water, no phone for the first hour, walk for 20 minutes, then journal. But I ignored the first prompt. The second, half slept until 9. The guilt, immediate.
You asked me to help you, not to babysit your excuses.
It felt robotic, but also weirdly caring. Like a blunt friend who just won't let you spiral quietly. No phone from 8 a.m. to noon. I nearly lost my mind, but what did I actually do with those hours? I cleared my inbox. Oh, and I wrote 1,000 words. Ate breakfast too. My brain felt less foggy. Turns out your phone isn't the addiction, avoidance is. The phone just makes it easier, doesn't it? Day 3 is when I noticed something wild. My thoughts weren't racing. Journaling prompts from AI were weirdly deep. I wrote honestly about stress, shame, identity. AI replied like a coach, not a therapist, direct, not emotional.
What are you avoiding by staying busy?
My reply, fear of failing if I really try. I stared at that for 10 minutes. AI wasn't healing me, but it was holding a mirror. And that did something. Everything was going smooth until I got obsessed with optimizing every second. I turned into a robot with a Fitbit. Every action had to be productive, but that's not sustainable. AI suggested,
Take 1 hour, do something pointless you enjoy.
I painted badly, and I actually laughed. First time in days. Self-improvement isn't about squeezing output, it's about reconnecting with what makes you feel alive. I crashed, headache, irritable, wanted junk food and junk dopamine. I told the AI I'm done. ChatGPT's reply.
Discomfort is not failure, it's the price of transformation.
I rolled my eyes, but I kept going. The AI adjusted my schedule, swapped hard tasks for soft creatives ones, added a walk with music, let me vent without toxic positivity. And that's when I realized it wasn't about perfect days. It was about staying with the process anyway. I started waking up without snoozing, eating breakfast, working in 90-minute bursts. I wasn't perfect, but I was consistent. Wins? Screen time dropped by 42%. Sleep average moved from 2 a.m. to 11 p.m. I cooked 3 real meals. I actually liked being alone with my thoughts. Biggest shift? The goal wasn't to become an AI. It was to become aware of my patterns, my excuses, my triggers. Let's break it down. What stuck? Morning routine. Water, walk, journaling. Phone-free focus hours, self-check-ins via AI prompts. These became more than checklist items, they became anchors. My morning routine, for example, wasn't perfect, but now, instead of reaching for my phone the second I opened my eyes, I reached for a pen. And that one shift changed the tone of my entire day. The phone-free blocks gave me windows of mental clarity I didn't know I was missing. They were awkward at first, then they became sacred. And the journaling, that one surprised me. It turned into a lifeline, a quiet space where I could finally hear myself think without judgment. What didn't? Perfect diet? Nope. No procrastination? Still human. The diet improvements were inconsistent. I still had junk food days. I still skipped meals when I was stressed, but there was awareness. And that's where real change starts. Not with perfection, but with pattern interruption. And yes, I still procrastinated, not as often, not as deeply. But I didn't become some productivity robot. The difference? I noticed it, caught it faster, recovered quicker. That's growth. But I now had a system, not just goals, a way to catch myself before the spiral. Goals are great, but they rely on willpower. Systems rely on structure. And structure is what shows up for you when motivation doesn't. What this experiment gave me wasn't just temporary improvement. It gave me tools I could repeat, a fallback routine, a self-reset blueprint. When things get chaotic, I now know exactly how to return to center. And honestly, that's the biggest win of all. I no longer trust my feelings in moments of chaos. I trust the plan I made when I was clear-headed. It's not about having perfect days. It's about having reliable systems that get you back on track after the imperfect ones. The AI didn't transform me. It trained me to ask better questions, to recognize emotional avoidance, and to respond instead of react. It taught me the discipline of noticing and observing. Would I recommend letting AI run your habits for a week? Yes, with this warning, AI can be a guide, but it's your decisions, your honesty, and your effort that make change stick. You don't need to be perfect. You just need a pattern that supports you when your motivation runs out. So, who's next? Let AI coach your life, or will you keep trusting chaos? Here's what I'll say. You won't come out of this a brand new person, but you might come out aware of the quiet lies you tell yourself, the tiny rituals that sabotage your day, and the emotional habits hiding beneath your physical ones. If you've ever felt stuck, if you've ever told yourself, I know what I should be doing, but I just can't seem to do it. This is your experiment, not because AI has all the answers, but because AI asks the right questions. And that alone is enough to crack something open. No guru, no biohacking, just a machine that reflects you, back to you, without bias, without ego, without excuses. And maybe that's what most of us are missing, the courage to be coached by something that doesn't care about our excuses, only our intentions. If you're ready to try this, drop a comment saying, "I'm in." And I'll send you the exact plan AI gave me. Let's make this a challenge. 7 days, 4 habits, no fluff. And if you've already tried something like this, leave a comment down below. Let us know. What worked? What broke you? What changed you? If this resonated with you, please give us a like and subscribe to see more empowering videos.